Welcome back to the Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing in Ocala, Florida, home to the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. This year's Pat Garlits Memorial Award goes to longtime racing executive Laura South. Automotive journalist and car designer Terry Cook is the winner of the Hall of Fame's Founders Award for 2021.
Because this is the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame, we have cars from all over the world. Right over there we have a little MG from England, a Gaius car, and here we have a Top Fuel dragster from Australia. And our next inductee is from Australia, John Stomper Winterburn. He's one of the early pioneers of drag racing in Australia. He got a lot of the drag strips organized, he got the clubs organized, and for that reason, we're putting him into the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame for his accomplishments as a promoter, early pioneer. A sad part of the story is, I called him on the phone, I actually talked to him, and he was so excited about being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and 3 days later, he had a heart attack and died. So he won't be at the banquet, but we do send our condolences to the family and to all his friends. He'll be long remembered for his accomplishments for Down Under.
Well, 50 years ago, I was lucky enough to be a dumb 20-year-old with a funny car. And I got an opportunity to go to Australia and represent the United States in a match race, because we've been notified that we're going to be taken care of by one of the most important people in drag racing in Australia, a guy named John Stomper Winterburn. And I thought, okay, cool. He probably knows, how good the track is, what the air is, what the tune-up should be, what tire pressure we should run. Showed up, he knew none of that. Zero. Didn't care about knowing any of that. But he took care of us like you couldn't believe. What he did was love drag racing, and he loved the people in drag racing. And he was an organizer and a fixer. And anything needed to be taken care of, John did. I remember one time we're coming back from Townsville in the outback in the middle of nowhere, with an old tow bar on the trailer started to break. So you go into a little town there, all there is pub and a gas station. This guy shows up and says, I just live down the road a piece. I've got a welder, I've got some steel back there, you guys can go and fix your stuff. So we pull in there. John doesn't know anything about cars, welding, anything like that, so guess who's gonna do it? I am, right? So I'm down there, got the wire feed fired up, welding the tongue back together with his steel. All of a sudden I get a tap on the back of the shoulders. Look up at John, he says, I turn around, there's a guy with a shotgun aiming at us, right? What in the hell are you doing in my shed, stealing my equipment? Wrong house. It was nice, the welder was right where we said it was gonna be, John's the type of guy that not only kept us from getting shot, charmed the guy in such a way that he brought us in, had his wife cook us dinner, gave us a beer, gave us all the stuff, and sent us on our way. And he was just the type of guy that it didn't matter what the problem was, he had a way of fixing it. And he loved drag racers. He was involved in every aspect of that sport for over 50 years. One of my truest friends and one of the best people who ever happened to drag racing. He could fix anything. John, if you were here a year ago, you would have fixed this damn pandemic and we'd have raced all last year. Thank you.
Our next inductees are Bob and Shirley Sullivan. It was a husband and wife team out of Kansas City, Kansas. And this car was the epitome of their career, in my personal opinion, because this is the car that won the AHRA Nationals, which would be equivalent to the NHRA US Nationals in Kansas City in 1959. It actually beat me in the final round. But this car sat in his garage for years and years, and I didn't know that. And about 25 years ago, I went to visit them before they passed away. And here it was, and he said, how would you like to have this car for the museum? I couldn't believe it. I was overwhelmed, because this is one of the most beautiful cars that was ever built back in those early 50s. And it ran for a very long time, 5 or 6 years. And you can see how it is copied after the sprint cars of that era, because that's where we got our ideas for drag racing. So here it is, and we welcome Bob and Shirley Sullivan to the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame.
So Bob and Shirley Sullivan were drag racing pioneers, nomads, and innovators. They raced 9 Pandemonium cars from 1956 to 1974. Bob was focused and goal-oriented. Shirley was the smooth touch, and most importantly, she counted the money. Bob and Shirley raced locally in Kansas City, Kansas, in 1954 to 1955 in the Yellow Banana. They won the NHRA Midwest Regionals in Scribner, Nebraska, and set a new strip record. Based on the commotion, Shirley called the next car Pandemonium. Pandemonium 5 was the first steel-bodied streetcar to drop a top fuel motor into it and compete at the 1965 U.S. Nationals. NHRA did not know what to do with the car and put it in B fuel. Many argue this top fuel-powered, barely controllable direct drive monster was the first funny car. I believe that, as well as the NHRA Museum, that the funny car developed in parallel paths through the engine track and through the flip-top Logie chassis path.
When we come back, he was a TV reporter by day, and by night he was winning drag racing trophies all over the country.